What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today we're going to show you how to set up your ROCKSTRIP 252 LED color strip light bar. So as you can see, it comes with the light itself, a pair of legs that we can attach to the light bar, a power cable, and a wireless remote. Now there are many different ways we can place our light bar, whether it's on a truss, on a surface, or the floor. And the way we can do that is by attaching the legs. So to start, I'm gonna take one of my legs along with its mounting hardware. I'm gonna take this screw knob here and run it through the hole on top. Then I'm gonna take the rubber washer and place it on the other side. Then I'm gonna take the screw and line it up to the screw hole on the side of the light and screw the knob to lock the leg in place. Then we're gonna take the next leg and hardware so we can do the same exact thing on the other side. From here, we can place the light on the legs like so, and we can even use the legs to angle our light into different positions. This gives us plenty of options on how to place our light. For example, one of the placements we can use for the light is a wall washing placement, where we just take the light and place it flush against the wall so that the light is shining completely upwards. Another variation of wall washing is by taking the light and placing it a few inches away from the wall and angle the light so it's hitting the wall the way you want it. You can also use similar steps when lighting up a DJ facade, but you want to keep a couple of things in mind. One of those things being the size of your DJ facade. So if you have a bigger facade and you want it all to be lit up, you'll need two of these lights to get that fully illuminated effect. Another way we can use these legs is for mounting the light onto a truss. So to do that, we're also gonna need a lighting clamp like our very own LC70. We're gonna take out this bolt here by loosening the wing nut. After that, we're gonna take out the bolt, and you may need a wrench to loosen it further so we can take it out. From there, we can run the bolt through any of these holes here on the legs. For today, let's go with the first one here. Then we can take the clamp and screw it back onto the bolt. And from there, we can screw the wing nut back on to secure the clamp to the light. We'll then take another clamp and do the same exact thing on the other side. Now, once we have both clamps attached, we're gonna loosen these butterfly screws here on each clamp. After that, we can take our light and line up the clamps to an open spot on our truss and tighten the butterfly screws to secure the light onto the truss. So once you've found a placement that works for your light, you can plug in the power cable and turn your light on and use any of the available modes or colors that you need for your setup. You'll also notice there's a power out outlet that we can use to daisy chain our lights electrically. Now the light gives us plenty of modes or functions that we can use with any setup, live performance, stage production, etc. Underneath the LED display here, you'll see we have all these different buttons. So we have the menu button to switch between different modes for the light, the up and down buttons to switch between different settings, and we have the enter button to enter a certain menu or save our changes. So let's go through the different modes now. Starting with the address menu, this allows us to set up the DMX address for the light so we can use it with a DMX controller. So on this mode, we can press enter, use the up and down buttons to switch the DMX address, and then we can press enter again to save the change. Next, we have the DMX channel menu where we can select how many channels we can use with our DMX controller. We'll go over that more in a bit when we talk about how to set up a DMX controller to the light. But to change the DMX channel, all we're gonna do is press enter on this mode, use the up and down buttons to switch between the different channels, and then press enter again once we know which one we wanna use. Next, we have the slave menu where we can use the master slave function with another ROCKSTRIP 252. And when we press enter in this mode, we can cycle between 4 different slave modes and press enter once we know which one we want to use. Next, we have the auto menu where we can set the light up to 9 different preset modes. So to do that, we're going to press enter on this mode, use the up and down buttons to switch between the different presets. Once we found a preset we want to use, we can press enter. And then from there, it will bring us to a speed menu where we can change the speed of this mode using the up and down buttons. And then we can press enter to save our changes for this mode. Next, we have the sound mode where we have plenty of options to choose from. So when you press enter on the sound mode, you can either pick sound bank 1 or sound bank 2, which will give us more options from there. So for example, if we pick sound mode 2, we can then go between 8 different chase modes. And once we find one that we like, we can press enter. And now if I make some sound, you'll see that the light changes along with the sound. So because this is an RGB light, we actually have a manual mode where we can cycle between the red, green, and blue LEDs and make a customized color. So for example, when we press enter, it will bring us to the red LED menu, and then we can use the up and down buttons to set how much red we want to come through. So for example, the more I raise it, the more you start to see the red LEDs. Then we can press enter to go to the green LEDs, and again we can use the up and down buttons to bring out more green. And then we can press enter again to bring out some blue LEDs. And just like that, we have a fully customized color. Next, we have the LED mode to customize the LED display to leave it on or turn it off. Next, we have the display menu where we can invert the display in case we're looking at the light upside down. And then we have the version menu to tell us about the software for the light. Now we can also use a DMX controller to control our ROCKSTRIP 252, which is great for live performances, stage productions, etc. So to set that up, I'm gonna need a DMX cable. I'm gonna plug the male end into the DMX out on my controller. Then I'm gonna plug the other end into the DMX in on my light. If you wanted to set up another light to the chain, all you're gonna do is take another DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on the first light here, then plug the other end into the DMX in on the next light, and so on and so forth for even more lights. Now the next thing we're gonna wanna do on our lights is set up the DMX address and the DMX channel. So on this light here, we have the option to set it up to 3-channel, 4-channel, 7-channel, 24-channel, or 28-channel. This just gives us options on how much control we want to have over our light. So for example, if you want just the basic controls, you can go for the 3-channel mode, and for the most advanced controls, you can go to the 28 mode. For today, let's set it to the 7-channel mode for somewhere in the middle. So to do that, we're going to go to the channel menu here on our light. Then we're going to press enter to change the channel mode, and then we'll use the up button to scroll up to the 7-channel mode and press enter to save. Next, we're going to want to set up the DMX address on our light. To do that, I'm going to use the menu button to switch to the DMX address mode. Then I'm going to press enter and use the up and down buttons to scroll between the different addresses. For today, we'll use A001, and then we'll press enter to save the change. So now on our controller, we can activate scanner 1, and now let's go through all the different faders for the 7-channel mode. Now faders 1 through 3 activate the red, green, and blue LEDs, but we won't be able to see them until we raise fader 4, which would be the master dimmer or how bright we set our light. So I'm gonna raise fader 4 all the way up, and now if I raise fader 1, you'll see the red LED come through. If I raise fader 2, you'll see the green LEDs, and when I raise fader 3, that brings out the blue LEDs. What's really cool is that we can use all 3 of these faders to make a customized color, so I can raise a little bit of red, a lot of green, and meet in the middle with blue, and now we have a custom color. Now fader 6 activates different chase modes depending on the value that the fader is set to, and the value just means how high we raise the fader. You can also use the LED screen to find out what value the fader is being set to. So for example, if I raise fader 6 and look at that LED screen, you'll see the number going up, letting us know that it's being set to a higher value. Now you won't notice anything happening until we raise fader 7 between 0 to 13. So if I raise it up, you'll then start to see the chase, and then you can also use fader 5 to control the speed of the chase. So the more I raise fader 5, the faster you'll see the chase going. We can also use fader 7 to set the light to the different sound modes. So for example, if I raise this anywhere from 14 to 27, that will activate the first sound bank. And if I went anywhere from 140 to 153, that will activate the second sound bank. Now, if you ever get confused on what fader does what in any of these DMX channel modes, you can always refer to the DMX guide. Now, the cool thing is if you're using a wireless DMX controller like the one we have right here, you can also get a receiver like this DMX WRE that plugs right into your light to make it completely wireless. So the way that this works is that if we look at the back of the controller here, you'll see this on and off switch for the wireless feature. And as soon as we turn that on, you'll see this LED here start to flash, letting us know the controller is sending out a signal. Now, these wireless DMX signals are color coded, and we can switch the color by pressing this button underneath the LED here. So as we're pressing the button, you'll see that it switches color, and we want to set it to a color that we remember, so let's go ahead and switch it to the blue color for now. So now we need to turn on our receiver with this button here, and you may need a small item like a screwdriver to do this. As soon as we turn it on, you'll see that the light on top is lit. So now in order for the receiver to talk to the controller, we need to match it to the same DMX signal that we did on the controller. So again, we'll take our small screwdriver to press this button here on the side, And because we set the controller to blue, we're gonna wanna do the same thing on our receiver. So we're gonna press this button until we see the blue color light up. And as soon as we do that, you'll see that the light on top is flashing green while the controller is flashing red, letting us know that they're communicating. So now all we need to do is plug the receiver into the DMX in on our light, set the light to whatever DMX channel and DMX address that we want. And now if we start to play with our controller, you'll see that the light is following, letting us know the wireless connection is working. If you want to have more lights with this setup, all you'll need to do is get more receivers to plug into your lights, or even if you just have one receiver for your first light, you can then daisy chain to the rest of the lights in your chain and have it work all the same. Let's say you wanted to have control over multiple lights, but you didn't want to set up a DMX controller, you can always use the master slave function. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is choose which light I want to have as the master light. So I'm going to go with this guy back here. I'm then going to take a DMX cable and plug the male end into the DMX out on my first light. Then I'm going to plug the other end into the DMX in on the second light. If you wanted to set up even more lights, you're just going to repeat this process all the way down your chain. So now on the second light, I'm going to want to press the menu button until I get to the slave mode. Then I can press enter and select any of the 4 slave modes available. But for today, I'm gonna go with slave mode 1. So now all I have to do is go to the master light and set it to any mode or color. And then you'll see the slave lights start to follow, letting us know the setup works. From here, you can always change the settings on your master light to a different mode, change it to a different speed, change it to a different color, and then the slave light will automatically follow whatever the master light does. Now the last thing I want to show you guys is how we can control our ROCKSTRIP 252 with our wireless remote. Now because the light uses IRC technology, you want to make sure to point the remote directly to the light, and it helps if you're in a line of sight position where it says IRC on top of the light, and this goes for however many lights we have set up. Now on top you'll see the different modes we have available, so we have the auto mode, the sound mode, then we have the DMX mode to set our light to the DMX address mode, and then from there we can use any of these number buttons to set it to a certain DMX address. So what's cool is that if we activate the auto mode for the light, it will then automatically go to the first chase setting. Then from there we can actually use the number buttons to set them to the different presets. So for example, we're at preset 0 right now because we pressed the auto button, and then as soon as we press 5, it goes to the preset 5 mode. On top of that, we can also use the plus and minus buttons to adjust the speed for the mode. So I can lower the speed by using the minus button here. Then you'll see it starts to go a bit slower. And now if I raise it, you'll see that it starts to go faster. The sound button works in a similar way. So I can press the sound mode to switch between sound bank 1 and sound bank 2. Then I can use the numbered buttons to switch between the different presets. And in this mode, I can also use the plus and minus buttons to switch between the different presets. And now if I make some sound, you'll see that the light starts to react. We can also set our light to the base colors of red, green, blue, and white. We can also use this color button here to cycle between the different available colors. We have more preset modes like the jump button and the fade button. We can also set our light to a color and press the flash button to set it to strobe mode. From there we can use the plus and minus buttons to affect the speed of the strobe. And lastly, we have the blackout button to turn off the LEDs. But keep in mind, this won't turn the light off altogether. You'll have to do that with the switch on the top. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your ROCKSTRIP 252. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.